This beggar tried to sell 1 year of his life for $3. But instead of laughing, Luli pulled out a bank card loaded with $300,000 and tossed it onto the table. "My minimum purchase price," he said calmly, "is $300,000 per year." The beggar froze. He thought he was dreaming. Without hesitation, he reached for the card, but Luli grabbed his wrist. "Easy," Luli said lightly. "I need to collect your lifespan first. Then you get the money." The next second, a stream of green energy poured out of the beggar's body. It flowed like mist and slowly gathered in Luli's palm, condensing into a glowing green orb. Only then did the beggar realize he had truly lost 1 year of his life. He had only come here hoping to scam a free meal. Instead, he stumbled into something terrifyingly surreal. But after thinking it over, $300,000 in hand, he burst out laughing. With that kind of money, he could live carefree for a long time. Luli watched him go and had a feeling this man would become a regular customer. Still, Luli called out to him, "Don't you want to know how much time you have left?" The beggar shook his head. "Don't ruin the mood, Mr. Lu. Once I spend this money, I'll come back." And he ran off. Luli siga sufli. When it came to drifters like him, modern-day slackers who lived only for today, there was no convincing them otherwise. But his first big payout was coming soon. He gently pressed his pocket watch. In an instant, time slowed, then nearly stopped. He stepped into a villa. Inside, doctors had just delivered their final verdict. The old patriarch of the Rome family, a man who had devoted his life to his country and built an empire, would likely not survive the night. His children and grandchildren surrounded his bed, faces filled with grief. Then the doors slowly opened. Luli walked in calmly and said, "To be exact, he has 13 minutes and 19 seconds left." In an instant, dozens of bodyguards raised their guns. "Who are you? How did you get in here?" Click. Luli pressed the pocket watch again. Time froze. Every bodyguard stood motionless. "Sorry if I startled you," Luli said evenly. "For safety reasons, I've paused their time." The eldest son of the Rome family was about to speak, but Luli had already appeared beside the old man's bed. "I'm merely a businessman wandering this world," Luli introduced himself. "But what I sell may interest you." He paused. Time. Every face in the room changed. "To prevent myself from losing my humanity in eternity," Luli continued calmly, "I insist on fair trades." Unfortunately, the old gentleman has less than 10 minutes left. Any other questions can wait. Faced with what could only be called a miracle, the eldest son finally asked, "Mr. Lu, what is the price of time?" Luli lightly tapped his watch. "I use money as a medium. The price for 1 year is 1/5 of the wealth the buyer will create within that year." The family steward turned pale. The old patriarch earned hundreds of millions annually. That was an enormous sum. Luli smilat finally. As the saying goes, an inch of gold cannot buy an inch of time. As a businessman, I can only guarantee relative fairness. He glanced at the glowing countdown above the old man. 5 minutes remained. The words hung in the air. The Rome family began to panic. The old patriarch had dominated battlefields and boardrooms his entire life. Was he really going to die helplessly in bed? Memories flashed before his eyes. War, bloodshed, triumphs, comrades long gone. Was this how it would end? Even one more day, he rasped. No, even 1 hour. My knowledge, my legacy must not end here. With veins bulging and eyes blazing, the dying man slowly raised his hand. He whispered hoarsely, "Fight." The eldest son, holding his father's hand, understood immediately. "Buy it," he said firmly. 1 year. With a flick of his wrist, a contract appeared in Luli's hand. "Mr. Rome, please sign your name." The eldest son quickly objected. "My father can't move. I'll sign on his behalf." Luli shook his head. He must sign it himself. The countdown kept ticking. 40 seconds left. The old warrior who had fought all his life now struggled even to sit up. 8 seconds. Suddenly, as if guided by unseen hands, he sat upright. 3 seconds. He grabbed the pen and signed his full name. A burst of golden light filled the room. A massive clock appeared in the air, spinning backward wildly. No one could keep their eyes open against the brilliance. When the light faded, new words appeared. Remaining lifespan, 1 year. Strangely, the old patriarch did not look excited. He slowly removed his oxygen mask. He felt it. Moments ago, it was as if his fallen comrades had stood behind him, just like when they once taught him to write, guiding his trembling hand to finish his name. As he stood there in silence, applause broke out. "Worthy of the Rome family patriarch," Luli said. "Such willpower is truly admirable. The deal is complete." The family rushed forward. "How do you feel?" The old patriarch steadied himself. "It feels like I've gone back a few years. Still old, but full of life." "So this," he murmured, "is the power of time." Luli la Luli. "Congratulations, Mr. Rome. Please make the most of your year." He turned to leave. The eldest son hurried after him to discuss payment. From the blink of an eye, Luli had vanished. Only a slip of paper drifted down from the air, bearing a bank account number. Outside, the bodyguards regained movement, stunned. The old patriarch slowly rose from his bed. "Control your tongues," he ordered. "Not a word of what happened today leaves this room." The eldest son handed him the note. The old man barely glanced at it. "As agreed," he said calmly. "The Rome family honors its word. Not a single cent less." He walked to the window. For the first time in years, he simply stood there, staring at the scenery outside. He had never imagined such unimaginable power existed in this world. He whispered softly, "My old friends, I'll visit you later. I'll miss you." Then he composed himself and turned back to his family. "This Mr. Lu," he said firmly, "is someone we must befriend, never make an enemy of. Do you understand?" After giving his orders, this man who had been busy his entire life, for the first time, stood quietly and watched the world outside his window.